All right, we're going to talk about insurance. And to help us out, we have the Vela Insurance Group with us. They have been a big supporter of EMA for the last 5 or 6 years. So that's been a great help. They've helped us kind of go through this journey of insurance. So we got Joe Palumbo, and on the end, we have Rob Langer and Kathy Olson. So Kathy and Joe have been here before, so they sat in on the panel that we did last year. And insurance, as you know, and when it comes to EIFS, has always been a concern. And insurance is always in the news. You probably heard something about something related to insurance last Friday on the national news. Insurance is continue to be something we have to deal with. In 1995 is when insurance started really becoming an issue in the EIFS industry. And here we are over 20 years later, and we're still talking about insurance as it relates to EIFS. Now, the encouraging thing is we had a board meeting this morning, and some of our members of the board feel like that with some of the things that we've done in the insurance industry of late, with the help of people like Vela and others, that we may be out of the insurance problems with EIFS by the end of the year. Now, that's a lot of ambition, that's a lot of optimism, but it's something that is really doable. So we've made a lot of headway in insurance. It is still somewhat of an issue to some people. But I think what you find if you're on the contracting side, that the insurance is available. If you have issues, we've got people up here that can answer those questions today. So insurance in the EIFS world is becoming more and more readily available. General contractors that used to say, we're not going to take any work that has EIFS to do with it, those barriers are breaking down. Recently, Turner Construction has worked out where they have no limitations or restrictions on EIFS. That's a big movement because for many years they were in the position where they wouldn't do jobs that had EIFS insurance. So again, I think there's a lot of positive things going. So we're going to take a next few minutes and kind of give you an update on where we are with insurance. So Joe, I'll turn it over to you at this time.
Our president found the YouTube presentation from our presentation from last year. And I was fairly new with the company. I was with him about 3 months when we had the meeting, which I think was in May last year. And he sent it around to everybody in the company. And just a couple of the comments that I personally received was one gentleman asked if I had been in the service, and I said yes. And he said, well, good, now we know what a hostage tape would have looked like if you were a prisoner of war. Another person who, and the way we had it last year, we had myself and Kathy Olson and Colleen Kicksmiller from James River was here. Someone said that we looked like the see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil trio. We did a lot of preparation last year, and we hoped to have a lot of preparation to do this year because so many things had changed. And some things have changed, but not all that much. But we're on the right track. We're getting changes done. This year we decided to bring with us the person whose fault it is, and that's Rob, because he wrote our guidelines years ago. So without any further ado, I think I'll turn it over to the two people who really know what they're talking about when they talk about underwriting insurance, Rob and Kathy.
So everybody, I'm Rob Lager, and the first slide that you see up there, this is the exclusion that's been in the market for quite a long time, actually since 2004. There were other additions prior to that. About 4 years ago, I had the opportunity to meet with Stowe to potentially write their property insurance. And I learned a great deal at that time. Obviously, first of all, it's not called EIFS, it's called EIFS. And that's a big problem with the insurance industry. So what I did is I just did research on it, dealing with, you've got to take a step back and look at insurance companies. And what they normally do is when they see huge claims, class action suits, things along those lines, they tend to run and run quickly. That happened with the EIFS industry about, what was it, in the late 60s, early 70s, a large class action suit on single-family homes that had barrier EIFS. But we know things have changed. Every time we talk to somebody, we find out that the technology's gotten better. Everything is better about EIFS. So what we did was we created 2 replacements for this exclusion. One of them is for contractors that do EIFS applications themselves, and the other one is for subcontractors. Basically, we require that they have the proper training, certification, and if we can get a copy of the certification, we provide full limits for the contractors that perform EIFS. We, up until about 6 months ago to about 9 months ago, we were still shying away from barrier EIFS, but that has started to change. We've been able to provide coverage for a number of very large wrap-ups where EIFS, the barrier EIFS are in place. Initially we're starting with very arid locations, things like that, before we start moving into more, seasonal areas with a lot more rain. So those are the 3 endorsements. And they continue to develop over time to try to give back a little more coverage. The next slide will show that over the last couple of years, a lot of carriers on the wholesale side have moved into the market. We weren't the first, but the way that we put it together for general contractors and subcontractors, a lot of people started to follow us as well. So EIFS is available right now in the wholesale surplus lines market, and we've actually started to see it a little bit on the standard market with some of the large carriers as well. So it's definitely on the uprise in the insurance industry. So
next slide. The insurance application process, the contractor will approach a retail agent who will in turn approach a standard market insurance carrier if you have a company that is smaller and doesn't have any insurance claim problems. If the standard market is unable to assist with your insurance, then the retail agent would go to a wholesale broker, who in turn would go to the excess and surplus lines insurance carrier, which is us. So it goes through a few people before it gets to us. You can go ahead. The insurance applications, just to let you know what kinds of things we like to see in the applications, is there's a EIFS supplemental application that needs to be filled out, and we like to see if you have certifications like the EIFS Doing It Right and EIFS Smart Contractor. We need to see certificates of training from EIFS manufacturers, since proper installation is the main concern that we have. And if you're subbing out work, we want to see hold harmless and risk transfer agreements. And for loss information, we go back 5 years of insurance claims. And if you do have losses or have had problems in the past with EIFS installation, if you can explain the situation and if you've remedied the problem, it will help the underwriter. It will go a long way to assist you in getting proper coverage and more reasonable coverage, if you can, especially if you can explain that you've remedied the situation.
That's it?
that's it.
Okay. Any questions that we have for the group up here? There's one in the back there. Oh, it's just you.
So, this audience obviously is a lot of associate members and manufacturers and new contractors. This message has to get to the contractors. How can we package this in a really easy way and deliver it to all contractors?
Basically, it's education. It's people that are self-motivated to start to learn these coverages and learn these applications and the things that go on in the construction industry. We're educating our brokers, who we are hoping in turn educate the retail agents. You know, the market right now is in a cycle. It's always in a cycle. Right now it's at the bottom. Things are really inexpensive. So a lot of the retail agents aren't caring as much about the coverages per se, but with something like EIFS, it bubbles it to the top. So we're trying to educate our brokers on a constant basis with regard to that, and hopefully it'll disseminate down the ladder. So.
I know obviously for you as a company, you know it kind of one way, but what we're trying to do as an industry, getting this in a very easy to understand package, webinar, I don't care what it is, to the contractor base through AWCI or some other way, I think really helpful. The second thing I wanted to talk to the board a little about this morning, when we left this last year, the kind of the aha moment was the discussion about ISO and the language that's being written by the language writing agency that gets inserted into these contracts. So we took that pretty seriously, and we took an approach at going after the GCs, because it's all fine if these contractors, the typical plastering contractor, can get insurance, but if the GCs aren't gonna do the project with each because they can't get insurance, it's not gonna work. So we took the approach going to the GCs and teaching them, where are we today? And the big breakthrough that we've had is they listened. We took the industry data, brought it to the general contractors, because we started going with the really big ones, and asked them, after we explained to them where we were, to bring their top 5 insurance carriers into the room. And amazingly, they did it. And we now have, with one large DC, and we're just going down the list, their top 5 insurance carriers have taken all these exclusions out of the language. And so we work this thing from both angles. We're going to have, these are the mainline insurance carriers, the Liberty Mutuals and UGov and Zurich and a few others. They're taking these exclusions away because the data is compelling enough for them to do it. So I would encourage that we take this, figure out a way to package it for the plastering contractors, and then we as manufacturers will all kind of agree we're going to try going down this GC large, mainline carrier route. That's where, and we're trying to get some of the inside ISO to help us figure out how to change the language of ISO. It's the most significant progress we've made. I've been in this thing for 15 years. This is the main subject we've been talking about for that time that I've been here. I think this is the year it's all going away. So thank you for your help. Thank you for last year and all the assistance last year. But I think we're just about there. We just attacked it from both ends. So
Yeah.
appreciate it.
No problem. Yeah, we, like our endorsement, this is an ISO endorsement right here, but our givebacks are our own forms. And that's one of the benefits of a surplus lines market, is we're not necessarily completely tied into the regulations of specific states with what we cover and how we write our endorsements. So we were able to start giving it back right away. So I agree, if there's any opportunities for us to spread the word, because we are covering it and we want to cover more, so.
Okay. One other thing that we do with the manufacturing members is we look at the claims that we have every year for the insurance people, and our claims have continued to drop as an industry to almost nothing. I think this past year they were like 3 or 4 total claims for the entire EIFS manufacturing sector. So that kind of data has helped these people look at what the loss ratios are and gives them a comfort level. So we've got the proof that proves that you do the systems right, you put up the drainage systems the way they're supposed to be done, and you're not going to have claims. And I think that's been a big help to us as an industry to do that. Are there any other questions on the back row?
Yeah, I'm a member, and actually I didn't mind the insurance as a claim because the fact that it kind of weeded out some of the other contractors that shouldn't be doing it, to be honest with you. But I appreciate what you're doing, which is good. But are you going to demand that
Yeah, that's kind of one of our fears, because I underwrite this cover, we all underwrite this coverage as well, is, you know, it may be you guys getting certified and then you kind of teach, you know, the laborers below you. You know, that's a concern of ours. We want to make sure that as many people can be certified as possible. We see these organizations that are starting to do that. You know, as long as we have that certificate, you know, we consider that worth a lot to writing that account. And then, you know, then obviously we would, you know, like we have loss control that we'll send out at our own cost for just about every EIFS account that we have, just make sure things are being done right. A couple of them that we went to, they had mock-ups of the system right next to the building, so people go in, they teach the laborers every day how to do that, and that makes us feel better about writing those coverages. So yeah, we're trying everything we can. If there's other organizations or other ways of certifying, we'd love to know about it, and we'd probably accept those as equivalents.
Let me add to a part of that. One of the things is the last several years as we've worked with the insurance companies is we've brought them this information that said, if you're going to write insurance for contractors, this is the criteria that you need to follow. So that's part of how we've been able to work with them to give them the sense of comfort level that there are training programs, there are ways to doing it right, and there are monitoring systems. So that's part on us going forward as an industry, that we've got to kind of self-police to make sure that happens, because they're taking our word for it, or they're taking the contractor's word for it to a large degree. So I think the bottom line is we've got to do it right the first time. If we do it right the first time, then there'll be more jobs coming. So it's incumbent on us as an industry, whether you're a contractor, or a distributor, or a manufacturer, to do your due diligence to make sure that they're qualified people doing the job, using the right materials to do the job. Other questions?
How long are the certifications good for? Are they like a one and done type of thing?
Flavio, you know? 5 years. 5 years, okay.
Okay.
And how often is there a major change in the way you apply EIFS? So it's not a situation where it would help if people were recertified every year because things have changed.
You have to recertify after 5 years.
So there's been a dramatic change.
Yeah.
I should mention that your association did something on your behalf that went over very well in our company. Last summer, I believe it was, maybe last fall, Dave and a number of your members came out to visit with us and talked about some of the changes and some of the issues that they were having. And I wound up with this really nice little demonstration of what an EIFS system looks like. So they're working hard on your behalf. So I think you should know that as well.
We had to go to Chicago to do that, you know, so that was tough duty. So what they do for that, they won the World Series after our visit. So what about that? So,
Definite correlation.
yes, sir.
Have you had any problems with the rasping and the fees in terms of insurance claims?
So you're talking about the EPS balls for pollution point of view? Do you even know what we're talking about?
Not completely.
No, I don't think that falls into this category. That's more local markets, probably EPA people get involved in that. That's not necessarily an insurance issue.
Let's go.
Okay, other questions? John?
Totally outside of these claims, and I've heard enough about this, like, regarding the other thing. In the insurance industry, I'm hearing that one of the biggest claims, or the growth of the claims, is weather-related claims, flooding, water, that sort of thing. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the property line of insurance has been hit pretty well.
I heard that, I'm from Canada, so I have Canadian numbers experience. You're saying that that type of claim is doubling every 5 years.
I would believe that. Yeah, how we see our claims, similar claims from 2005 to 2010 to 2015, they're increasing exponentially.
Where this leads is the insurance industry is a canary in the coal mine
Very well could be.
The advantage of these is that it's resilient, it's proved to be resilient.
Yep.
Well, last year, we talked about how to get the casualty prices down, or the availability, improved. There's an opportunity to do that on the property side, too, because one of the pieces of information I came away with after the meeting we had in Chicago was how the proper EIFS installation actually strengthens the building and improves the building. And I guarantee you could talk to 20 property underwriters. I was only able to talk to 2, and they didn't even consider that at all. They said, well, it's frame underneath, so we're rating it as frame. Well, okay. So you probably have some education to do to the property insurers as well.
Okay, other questions? Just to let you know, I think most of you know it in the room, that you go to the EMA website, there is a whole section on insurance, so there's a lot of information there. If you have other questions, get these folks cards. They're always willing to help as a true partner of the association. So if there are no other questions, Mike, you want to come up and close this thing out, or? I think we're done. Okay, so that's for closing out. So
Someone's got a hand.
okay, he's going to come up and he's got to hit the gavel to end the meeting. So
You have a hand over there.
oh, we got another one, George.
That's all you got to do with insurance, but actually we'll get more training.
That's a really, really, really good question. So we're going to let AWCI handle that, I guess. So.
No, I think we can't wait for that yet. See, we've been trying to get possession for 5 years or so, and keep the teachers.
Well, I think everybody you talk to from a contractor point of view, as I travel around, there is a shortage of contractors. There's certainly a shortage of qualified mechanics, and there's certainly a shortage of proper training programs. There's no question about it. So we did talk about that somewhat this morning, and it's an issue that's got to be dealt with moving forward. I don't think we have the absolute answer at this point in time. Other than AWCI EIFS doing it right is certainly a step in the right direction.
How do we get them to put classes on? I'm a member of IWCI too, so I'm trying to figure out how do I get them to do classes on the second test?
You,
To the association, DLPCA.
well, they typically will do it. They publish their schedules generally at the beginning of the year, January or February, where they're going to be, and they'll have them maybe associated with a convention or something like that. I'm sure if there's a demand, they'll do it. So what I would suggest is you get with your Texas group and see if they can't get some scheduled in the next couple of months.
We've got a meeting April 6th.
Okay. All right, Mike.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks to the panel. Great news about the insurance. It's a subject we've talked way too much about over the past 15 years, and so it would be nice to start talking about something else, something more positive. I mean, but anyway, today's meeting is coming to an end. I think we had a great first day. Tomorrow is going to be a great day. We start off with our contractors breakfast, and I expect that should be very, very good, and we'll get some real great questions out there and some real good discussion going on. And then, of course, tomorrow afternoon we're going out to play golf, and so that should be great. And then Wednesday morning we'll wrap things out. So today's meeting is adjourned.